Hi everyone, welcome along to the second programme in the 2019 season for the MG Trophy here at Donington Park. The weather doesn't look too great today, to be perfectly honest. That means that racing is going to be as close as ever in the three classes, the 190s, the 170s and of course the 160s, the standard class cars. Without further ado, let's go down into the paddock and join Barry.
Ross, fastest qualifying, although Graham was on your tail there, so a good start for the weekend with the pole position, but looking at the skies, I think that's the main concern at the moment.
Yeah, the qualifying went well. We went out, the Toyos have been performing really well, Yokohama's a lot better than the Dunlop, so you can go from lap 1. So we just went out, tried to get quick laps in early, but the sky's telling a different story. Tomorrow's meant to be dry, but today it could go either way.
Now, being from north of the border, you're used to the sort of rain and so forth, but what's your preference?
Everyone loves a dry race, so I'll go with dry.
Very tight timings actually on qualifying, very, very close.
It was, I was happy to get away with it. I did 2 consistent laps, but Graham was close behind with consistent laps as well, so I think come the race, everyone will be in the free. Doug will catch up, he always does, so it's going to be close.
Always great to see new drivers on the grid. Fred Burgess, now I recognise the surname, we'll come back to that in a minute, but first time out I believe.
Yeah, first time in the trophy, only my second ever race weekend. I did one weekend in the MG Cup and that went quite well, so I got a first and a fourth, so I thought I'd come and try in the trophy, so I'm happy so far.
Now you've joined one of the most competitive classes, the 170 class, in amongst some very seasoned and very experienced drivers. Just seen the qualifying and you've come 4th in class ahead of drivers such as Paul Luty, so a great start to the weekend so far.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. When I came here, I'd looked at the entry list and there was a few cars that, they got experienced drivers, they've been here a while. So the 3 in front of me are normally at the front, so to be in range of them, I'm quite happy first time out. So I set myself a target of qualifying top 5, so I achieved that. So let's hope the races go well as well.
Now viewers will recognise the surname and certainly recognise the livery of the car. So son of Jason Burgess, who we see more often than not on the podium. So you got your work cut out to try and sort of keep up with him.
Yes, so it's quite competitive between me and my dad when we do a bit of stuff, so got to keep a family name going, I suppose.
Paul, we've seen you in the MG Trophy for 2 or 3 years now. You had a bit of a break last year, but back for the 2019 season. Rain at Donington, something you excel at normally?
Yes, never raced here before. Did a dry session yesterday morning and a wet one, so kind of know what the car feels like in both, and racing out there in the wet was promising. It felt good out there, so see what happens today.
Now, to say you've done a couple of seasons before, full seasons. This season we've got you for everything apart from I think Oulton Park, but you hold a record at Oulton Park anyway, so it was an easy one to drop. Yeah,
it's just purely down to budget and time and effort really, sort of thing. So I wanted to go to Knock Hill and do the Snetterton 300 and here, so it was kind of knock that one on the head and hope someone doesn't beat my lap record.
Now, Matt, we're not caught up with you for a while. You weren't actually out at round 1 due to other racing commitments, but come out race 2, qualifying and P2. Not bad at all.
Yeah, we did well. Not a lot's changed in Snetterton really. We just had it, just at home and, it was ready to go really. So a few changes over Christmas, but other than that, we've pretty much just put it on the floor again and away we go. So yeah, good start to the day.
Now we've done 2 or 3 interviews so far and it looks like a different season in every single one of them, so we're not quite sure what the weather's going to be like within the next hour.
If it stays like this, it'll be wonderful, it's lovely, but there's a few clouds over there, so we never know, but fingers crossed we'll stay out of the showers anyway.
Does that make any difference to you in this class with your tyres or not?
If it puts a lot of rain down, it does, but if it's just spitting and a bit of surface water, it's not too bad. It's when it starts getting really heavy and lots of puddles, and that's when we've got to swap to the wets. So yeah, they're only sort of semi-slick, so we can get away with quite a lot. So.
John, seeing you racing's always very exciting, and these weekends are, but it's started with a little bit too much excitement this weekend. In practice yesterday, what happened?
Testing went really well to start with. Out in the dry, very happy with the car. It's the second time I've ever driven it as a 170. And then the second test section was fully wet, really comfortable with the tyres. Third session, last session actually, was semi-drying. And semi-drying on dry tyres got a little bit out of shape around Craners. So I went sideways very quickly. Neatly into the gravel, but completely sideways until right at the end where it decided just to gently roll over on its roof and smashed the doors, the windscreen, the bonnet, the front wings. So then got recovered. We shot off to Lincolnshire to Ali's garage because he runs the team. He got all the bits, stripped the car down, took all the broken parts off, bent it back to shape, cleaned all the gravel out, all the glass and so on, repanelled it, got back here at midnight, strung it up this morning and qualified not last by about 4 or 5 places, which I'm really pleased about.
Some amazing stories of the work that goes on behind the scenes. You know, even without problems, there's an awful lot of work and prep and love that goes into these cars. Class A here, headed by Ross Macker and Graham Ross. The 170s by Sam Kirkpatrick from Matt Turnbull. Pole position in the standard class going to Paul Croker from Josh Bacon and Martin Webber. We're ready for the start of race 3 of the 2019 season. Just waiting for the lights to go on, which they are. Macker and Ross on the front row. They're going great start from defending champion Graham Ross, who I think has got the run on Ross Macker. Doug Cole was quick off the line too. Macker bogged down and he's side by side with Patrick Booth for 3rd place. So it's Graham Ross that leads. In car with Doug Cole looking back. Round the outside line goes the 33 car. Patrick Booth can't quite do it. So Ross Macker annexes that 3rd place. In car with John Booth in the number 50. 11th in class. So great amount of work and a good performance. You can also see the MG3 in the mix as well, having its debut in the hands of the great Colin Robertson. You can see the orange strip on the car. Orange strip denoting the 190 brake horsepower machines, the 170s with the yellows, the 160s with the white, on board with championship debut man Fred Burgess, who's already embroiled in the battles as Paul Savage heads Matt Turnbull there. So it's Graham Ross, the race leader, as they go into Coppice for the first time. Through shot goes Sam Kirkpatrick. Robin Walker in the 77, coming under pressure on the outside line from Richard Marsh in the black number 19, the man from Farringdon. Had a class win in race number 1 at Brands Hatch, but as they come down into the chicane to complete the first lap, it's the defending champion, Graham Ross, who is there. Ross, who had a 1st and a 4th in the opening race of the season, opening weekend of the season at Brands Hatch, and therefore leads the championship coming here from Chris Bray, who's not here this weekend, and Doug Cole in 3rd position. So Doug looking to go P2 in the championship standings in this one. This group headed by Mike Harris, the MG3 in the mix as well. In car with John Booth, it goes down the inside line of Joseph Delgado, and wow, that was the 96 car of Paul Croker in the 160. Took a very deep move on the inside line, carried a bit too much speed, ran out wide, got punished for it, but hats off for having a go. Love it when a driver has a go, and it all wound up safe. Nobody off the track for that one. There is Tyler Ballard. Tyler in the number 80 had a 9th and 7th on his debut meeting in the 170 class, as Mike Harris continues to lead this group on lap 2. Back of the group there is Fred Burgess. We ride on board with Fred at the moment. Great onboard shot and a good shot looking back at the same time at the traffic right behind him, and I think he's going to be a very good addition to this championship. Meanwhile, up front, Graham Ross still there from Doug Cole. Ross Macker will be ruining that start a little bit. Had a retirement and a 2nd position at Brands Hatch, so he's got to start making up a little bit of ground. It looks to the outside line of Doug Cole, but Doug's a wily old character and holds on to P2. He'll want to try and close down on the championship leader. So great race going on for 2nd position overall, and indeed in the 190s. In car with Doug again, stretches the gap over Ross Macker at the moment, but it's Graham Ross who holds sway as Tyler Ballard goes on the outside line there, kicks up a little bit of dirt, back with the battle for 2nd position, going along the straight in towards Schwantz curve, which is where they are now. Schwantz continues a fair way before they get to McLean's, and then ultimately on that short straight and the run continuing uphill. It's a very good circuit walk here if you ever get the chance to do it. Uphill into the double apex right-hander at Coppice, which is where they're coming now. In car with Fred Burgess again, and great for the other guys to race with Fred as well, having a really good race there with Tom Butler. This is very much Tom's home track, comes from Derby, and Tom on the outside line, Fred on the inside, side by side they go, they clatter, they just touch mirrors. That is how close MG Trophy Racing is. Fred just looks nonchalantly across. We've got Gianni Piccioni in the mix as well. That was the black number 5 car who was in the mirror. Now we've got the 55 in the mirror. Richard Marsh dicing there with James Cole in the 88. Down behind him is Adam Jackson. Jackson second in the championship after Brands was Samuel Johnston, who leads the standings in the fiercely competitive 170 class, and the standard class headed by Josh Bacon from Paul Croker. We've got Martin Webber with us this weekend as well. In car with Josh Bacon, the youngster from Horsham in Sussex, having a good run as they tick off another lap here. Fred Burgess again looks to the outside line. This time it's Adam Jackson who is looking on the outside line in yellow and blue. We've got Tom Butler in the 55 machine down behind as well. Jackson gets the job done. There might have been contact with Burgess as well, so a little bit of rubbing with the newcomer. And you can see the rear-facing camera. Look, they're all queuing up now. Samuel Johnston's about to have a go as well. So the championship leader trying to get in the mix as well. Johnston fourth in the overall champion. Oh, and there's contact there, as you saw from James Cole. 2 cars off. That's Mike Harris is off. Now, who is the other car? It's Richard Marsh who's overturned. Tin Tops and Donington, and going straight over to check that he's all right is Mike Harris. And red flags brought out straight away, rightly so by the officials. Mike making sure he's okay. Great camaraderie in this championship. Hate to see a car upside down, but good to see the driver out and well. It's going to be a restart. Rejoin us for that in a few minutes' time. We're virtually ready for the restart here. Green flag from the back of the field. All okay, incidentally, after that rollover. Car isn't, but driver is. Away we go. Great start by Doug Cole. Getting very much bogged down is Graham Ross. Not the start he wanted. Ross Macker up into second. Matt Turnbull makes a good start. The first of the 170s with the yellow sunstrip has got up into third place. The wet may see a little bit of levelling between the power of the 170s and the 160s. Fred Burgess getting a windscreen full of dirt and successfully negotiates Colin Robertson in the MG3, but it's Doug Cole in the 99 car who leads. Doug's always pretty good in the wet, but coming under pressure from Ross Macker at the old hairpin, and Ross gets through into lead position. Doug down to second place. There is Matt Turnbull, who's got a 190 coupe, and Doug's got the lead back. Doug Cole back into the lead. Issues for Patrick Booth, such a shame he's out of the race by the look of it as they come through. So it's Doug Cole who had the fastest lap in the first start. I don't know whether he'll get to keep fastest lap because there's a championship point up for that, and technically the organisers should think about that, unless this is classed as the main part of the race. We'll come back to that later on as we watch Sam Kirkpatrick in the light blue car up at the front end of the 170s. There is Paul Croker who has a problem as Patrick Booth is pushed away. Doug Cole again, we're about to see a place change because Ross Macker has got the inside line coming through into the chicane, but Doug Cole will not give an inch. Great recovery from Graham Ross after that recalcitrant start. He's back up into third place. That's why Graham Ross is a champion in this form, the man from Crieff, running very quickly indeed, and back up into third place, challenging for second. So we've got a trio of 190s, a plethora of 170s headed by James Cole. So James there at the moment from Matt Turnbull. Issues for Paul Croker, the man from Fareham in Hampshire, and that's not going to do his chase of Josh Bacon in the points too much, but it's Doug Cole still out front. As I say, conditions not ideal. The drivers will go out and racing in absolutely anything, but not particularly encouraging for spectators, casual spectators, to come here to Donington Park and watch the action. Of course you should in any weather, and I'd actually encourage spectators who haven't been before to come wet or dry, because very often the racing in the wet can be even more competitive and certainly take on a different complexion. Tom Butler busy chasing there in the 55 car. This is the battle for the lead in the 170s, and Matt Turnbull looks to the outside line. This is for fourth place overall. They're still very much at it. In the mix as well, the light blue car of Sam Kirkpatrick's coming up. Visit to the gravel there for Joseph Delgado, another Hampshire-based driver. is off in the gravel, but hopefully recovering as the leaders come through. Now, what can the number 1 car of Graham Ross do about getting from 3rd place into 2nd position? The main battle is on for 2nd place at the moment, with Ross Macca coming under pressure once again from Graham Ross. Ross takes a wide line here, might find a bit more grip and get a sweep down through the Craner curves. Matt Turnbull still in front at the moment in the 160s from Sam Kirkpatrick, then James Cole in P3. So James, who had a 5th on a podium at Brands Hatch back in April. It was such a long time ago now, of course, the enforced break this year, thanks to Silverstone issuing the fixtures and then deciding that they had to resurface the track after. And it wasn't just the MG car club that were affected, other clubs were as well, but it was a real shame that so many people lost out in terms of race dates. It shortens our championship for this year. It meant a big break. Samuel Johnston is off the track, the championship leader in the 170s. Some big stories happening here in race 3 of the season. Race 3.2, isn't it? Second start. There is Paul Savage, Lichfield-based driver, 4th and 6th at Brands Hatch. Doug Cole still the leader, and a superb view. You won't be looking too much at that now as Ross Macca again looks down the inside line, gets close. Does he touch the back of the car? He got mighty close for sure, with Graham Ross still in the mix as well. Then the 64 car of Matt Turnbull, who continues to lead the 170 class. There's Fred Burgess still there, back ahead of Adam Jackson. Those two continuing their superb fight. Colin Robertson in behind as well, developing the MG3. It's wonderful to see. It's a great little car, and Colin, as you can see, battling with Adam Jackson. Jackson's 2nd in the 170 standings, and I'll completely lose track of who's where. We've got waved yellows there at Hollywood going down in towards the Craner curves. Now, which car did we see go off that's caused that? Not sure, but we'll try and pick up for you as the race actually now starts to be a little bit more settled. We're into what is probably around about half distance of this 10-minute restart. I had a fair amount of time in the first part of the race, but things looking pretty much settled at the moment. There in car number 5 is Gianni Piccioni, and here's the battle for the race lead. Now, what has happened to Ross Macca? Because Ross is gone, and it's a 2-car race for lead position. So Graham Ross has only got Doug Cole to deal with now. The answer is that Ross Macca has retired from the race, and now to the outside line goes the defending champion. Defending in front the line is Doug Cole, who's got the lead at the moment. Doug's going to be a difficult man to pass, but as I say that, through on the inside line goes Graham Ross on the cutback. There is Ross Macca. We said that he'd had problems into pit lane. Big shame to lose him from the race, and that is Ross Macca's 2nd retirement in 3 races. Not the way that he wants to start the season. Side by side for the lead. Graham Ross has got his nose in front. Doug Cole got a little bit squirrely there, coming down through the Craners into the old hairpin. It's the defending champion that leads. The back end of Cole's car wants to come around, but he held his nerve. Has a Tigger moment over the grass, gets back on track, and is in 2nd place and will, I think, retain 2nd position. 3rd on track is Matt Turnbull, who leads Class B, the 170s. Got Paul Savage between himself and James Cole in 2nd position. Martin Webber is past there. Good to see Martin on camera. Martin running in 2nd position in Class C. So a good first race for him. Tom Butler goes through. There is Sam Kirkpatrick, who has, as you can see, dropped away from the lead group in the 170s. But it's going to be Graham Ross who will pick up a 2nd win of the year, doing what he did at Brands, winning the opening race of the meeting. A superb performance for him. There's the checker, and that is Graham Ross's win. Doug Cole in 2nd. 3rd place is the 170 winner, Matt Turnbull. Paul Savage takes 4th, and 3rd position in the 190 class, up ahead of James Cole. Fred Burgess is next. A class podium for Fred. Then Adam Jackson. Colin Robertson is next up in the MG3, but there is the winner, Graham Ross. With that start that we saw at the restart, he was way back, but he fought back and managed to do it. Here is our winner for the 160 class. Josh Bacon goes across the line to take the checkered flag from Martin Webber. Paul Croker finishes 3rd in the standard class. Confirmation of the result: Ross from Cole and Turnbull. Savage next up from James Cole, then Fred Burgess, Adam Jackson and Colin Robertson. Gianni Piccioni 9th from Tyler Ballard. The fastest laps, Graham Ross, Matt Turnbull and Josh Bacon. Sam Kirkpatrick 11th from Tom Butler and John Booth. Joseph Delgado 14th from Josh Bacon, Martin Webber and Paul Croker, who was in 17th place, 3rd place, and a plethora of non-finishers, sadly, from that race and our original start. Cars will be coming down into victory lane, headed by Graham Ross, who will extend the championship lead with that. Doug Cole will possibly overtake, I think he does overtake Chris Bray, but let's hear more from our winners with Barry.
Well, the number one machine comes in first place yet again. Fantastic race there in 2 parts, and trickier that second part with the rain.
It was. I was saying to the other commentator, I quite like these 2-part races because you get a chance to have your dinner in between. But first half dry, second half wet. I mean, it was because it worked out in my favour. I think it's great, obviously, but it really added something to it. The fact that we had to be on wets there, and again, it fell in my favour. Ross had a problem, obviously, and I think Doug's tyres just went off because a lot of that track was dry out there. So the tyres were getting burnt up, but yeah, managed to hold it together and bring it home first.
Doug Cole, no stranger to this podium. Now, first part of that race and even the second part of that race, you were getting some good lap times, fastest laps at some point. So what was going on with the tyres?
Oh, it was just, I don't know whether we set them too high or I don't know, but they had some fairly good wet tyres. But just after about 6 laps, he could tell that I was losing the front and he was catching me, and but I was struggling everywhere. I mean, onto the back straight, I was just like nowhere, and into here he could get the cut back, and we were both going to be real brave down the trainers, and I thought I'm not letting him have it if he's going to win this, because I knew that it was either last lap or the last lap but one, and then it went all horribly wrong on the old hairpin, up on the grass and out on the mud, and just got back on. And I looked behind me, I could have expected Ross to come past. I didn't even know he'd fallen off or gone back. So I'm happy with second, and then fastest lap from the first section. Got close to him, but yeah, fair comment. It was a good race, enjoyed it, and there's always tomorrow.
Matt, fantastic class win there, and you were keeping up with these 190 boys.
Somehow, yeah, I don't know how. We just seem to have quite a bit of grip. Track was drying, so it was getting quicker, but I didn't want to push too hard where I was, so just took it. But yeah, great result for us anyway, especially seeing as though we're not driven in the wet since Brands last year, so yeah, really good.
James, some great battles going on there, and well done second in class. That mid-paddock action, it was fairly full on in both parts.
It was a bit carnage that. When I started the first part of the race in the dry, 6th, and I got up to 3rd by the time the accident happened. I'm glad Richard's okay, shame about the car, and same with Mike. But when we got to the restart, it was a little bit wet. I thought, right, pull away like I'm pulling away from the Tesco car park, and just no wheel spin, nothing. Round the outside of Redgate, got back up to 3rd, like behind the 2, then 2nd going through the Craners. I was like, let's go. So I kept going, and I just kept a nice rhythm going, and I got to Matt, went round the outside of him at Redgate, and I was leading for about 3/4 of a lap. Made a bit of a mistake going into McLean's, which allowed Matt to get alongside me going to Coppice. She went round the outside, better grip. I made another tiny mistake, but because I lost the wing mirror, Sam Kirkpatrick then went firing down the inside of me, so dropped back to 3rd, and I looked behind and there wasn't really much behind me, so I just thought, you know what, I'll just keep it going, keep it rolling. And then Sam went off, and I was like, oh, it's a bit of Christmas here, which is a shame because it was gearing up to be a fairly good race between us all.
Fred, great way to start the weekend. Podium, can't be bad.
Yeah, no, I'm happy with that. First race in the trophy. I was a bit worried when it started raining. Never really done much in the wet, but I got a really good start, and then watched as a few cars went off in front of me, kept it on the track, and finished 3rd, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Welcome back to Programme 2 of the 2019 MG Trophy. Some refettling and repairs going on after race 1. After the incident that stopped race 1, I can tell you the drivers were okay, which is the good news. More good news is that the weather is slightly better, so setup changes ensuing, and Barry is down in the paddock catching up on all the news.
Martin, been a couple of years since we've seen you actually on the grid. Great to see you out on the first race back again yesterday. How's it been so far?
Yeah, brilliant. Really enjoying it. It's lots and lots of fun. At the moment, I've not got the edge that I thought I had before, but hopefully it'll come back eventually. Yeah, it was really good. it was obviously a really wet race. The car was all over the place, couldn't keep it straight. But yeah, I was pleased with the second in class. So brilliant, really brilliant race. Really enjoyed it, lots.
Now, last time when you were at Oldham Park, weren't you the driver who actually used to drive his race car to the track, race it, and then drive it home again?
That's right, yeah. We did decide that it wasn't practical because if anything did happen, we need a trailer to get home. So yeah, we've now got a trailer and we actually trailer it to and from the track. But it is basically a road legal car. So it just meets the trophy regulations. It's had to have the airbag removed and things like that to meet the spec. But yeah, otherwise it's a road car.
Now, we haven't caught up for some time, and this is your first out in the 2019 season.
Yeah, it is first time out, and it's been going well so far. Yesterday we was good in the rain especially, so had a good race.
2018 was a good proving ground for you as well, wasn't it, really? So you sort of found your feet with the racing there as well, and we've had race 1 out of the way this weekend, and that wasn't too bad, certainly the latter part.
That's it, yeah, I liked it in the second part when it was raining. Had a good race, so looking forward to today and get stuck in and have a bit of fun.
It looks, much to the relief of many drivers, looks like it's going to be dry. Wet sort of suits you as well, but what's your plan?
I'll just see how the first lap pans out and then just try and chip away at it and just, yeah, obviously get as hard as I can and have some fun, yeah.
Josh, great to see you here at Donington. Now, we've already had race 1, which had a class win. Brands Hatch, prior to that, a class win, and we did last year as well, so all going very well so far.
It's a great series of firsts so far. We're looking forward to this race. It's going to be dry, which is good. A bit wet yesterday, a bit slidey, but we managed through it, got a class win, so we're really happy with that.
Very busy grid yesterday, and race of 2 hours, as I said to one of the other drivers, which was good for some and threw some slightly off, but obviously it didn't with you. You kept focused all the way.
Yeah, I think the race of 2 halves helped us quite a lot actually. In the dry we weren't on the pace that much, we were just off a little bit, but when it came to the wet we were on it all the way and it was really good.
Josh lines up second in class behind Paul Croker. That's the 160s. The 170s headed by Sam Kirkpatrick and Matthew Turnbull. Ross Macker outright pole and 190 pole ahead of Graham Ross, Doug Cole and Patrick Booth. Look at the way the marshals run around trying to get everybody into line as quickly as possible. So efficient here. Marshals, 5-second board shown. Lights on, ready for race 4 of the 2019 season. There was a little bit of creeping, I think, maybe from Graham Ross, but he got it checked up in time. Doug Cole is looking down the inside line. That, I think, is because Ross did check up. Not great starts on the bounce for Graham Ross, but he's a racer and he will come back for sure. He's in 3rd place, 4th position, the 33 car, Patrick Booth. Then it's Colin Robertson in the big mix of cars, which is the 170s, Fred Burgess getting stuck in. Matt Turnbull to the outside line, but it's Ross Macker who is due a little bit of luck here, who leads them down into the old hairpin for the first time ahead of Doug Cole in P2. Matt Turnbull on the outside line there of Adam Jackson, James Cole side by side with Fred Burgess in car. And look in your mirrors because, or look in the rear facing camera, because we've got Richard Marsh back on track after that rollover in race number 1. Second retirement of the season and second retirement on the bounce, almost literally a bounce as well for him. But back out on track, so much work going into these cars, as I said at the start of the programme. Unbelievable amount of work, and it's just such a shame to see cars getting damaged. But they're all back on track and enjoying themselves as Fred comes under pressure from James Cole's got his nose in front. Richard Marsh looks one way, then the other. Tom Butler going on the outside line as well in the 55 car. Paul Luty with us again. If you wonder where Paul was, resident joker of the pack of the MG Trophy Championship. And good to see the 69 car there. The leading quartet of 190s though breaking clear now of Colin Robertson, who's got the MG3 hooked up really well in 5th position overall. Then it's Paul Luty, the leading 170 at the minute from Sam Kirkpatrick. Sam takes a wide line there, on board with the race leader for the Class B cars. You can see Matt Turnbull running in 3rd, the 23 car with the orange sunstrip. Paul Savage running 5th in the 190s at the moment. Change of lead, Luty is passed, so Sam Kirkpatrick goes up well, he was in pole position, but back up into the class lead. Luty qualified 4th in class, so had a good start, did the Scot. Very good, strong Scottish presence in this championship just as well, because we're going to Knockhill, another northern round at Alton Park. North of course is relative depending on where you are, but for me, based in South London, pretty much anything is north. But we've got Knockhill, then Alton Park at the end of August, and we wrap up at Snetterton, our 5th event of the season. and a slightly truncated campaign this year because of the aforementioned issues with Silverstone. In car with Fred Burgess again, James Cole immediately in front of us. Good podia for both of those drivers in race number 1. And look at that, down the inside line goes Fred, changes down, looks across. Great driver awareness, good pass by Fred Burgess. What a welcome addition to the championship he is. Through goes Colin Robertson. Then it is Sam Kirkpatrick, who still leads the yellow sunstrip cars and has now got that cushion over the 64 machine. So Sam Kirkpatrick, is he going to be heading for a second win of the season? Was 7th in race number 1 in class, took 8th overall and class win in race 2 at Brands Hatch as Paul Luthi goes side by side here with Adam Jackson. Jackson on the inside, Luthi not looking at his sharpest at the moment, but he's getting a run here along Starkey Straight. We'll now explore the outside line as we go around Schwantz. Fred Burgess in behind is watching as well. Might see an open door here to have a look up the inside line as they come up into McLean's. Is he going to be able to do that? I think Adam Jackson might have a little bit more momentum once this straightens out around the outside line, and James Cole is feeling that as well. Uphill into the double apex Coppice corner. Fred Burgess immediately in front of us, grabs the line. Superb scrapping between those two. Tom Butler in behind as well. Battle for podium positions here in the 170 class, and this race really bedding in very nicely indeed as we go down what was known as the exhibition straight with the Aylesbury youngster James Cole on the inside line. You can see them straight lining the chicane. The MSV team that run Donington Park having, I think, trying different options as to whether to put sausage curbs in there which can unsettle cars, or using the floppy markers, or they're not really sure what to do, because there was a big incident here in the Ginetta Championship a while ago. If you put bales up, it just blocks everything. As we look at Martin Webber, the returnee to the championship, I think I alluded otherwise in race number 1, my apologies. And MSV wondering what to do with the chicane. Obviously it's there to slow people down, but various methods being employed to sort that out. But no problems with us this weekend as Paul Luthi continues on his way up ahead of the 79 car of Adam Jackson. Then it is James Cole. So this group now, let's see what Jackson could do about Luthi. Will he get a good run out of Coppice and then down the straight, maybe tee up the inside line? We've got somebody kicking up a fair amount of gravel there. Looking back from Paul Luthi, haven't seen the bear, have we, with the in-car camera just yet, and I don't think we're going to. As Adam Jackson looks around the outside line, nothing quite doing there. James Cole next up, then Fred Burgess in the 17. Tyler Ballard next up, 6 in race number 1 for Tyler, who cut his teeth in the standard power class. And of course the standard power class can't win the outright championship now. It's got to come from the modified or enhanced power classes, the 190s and the 170s. James Cole having a good run here, and Paul Luthi is the target on the inside line as they go through Hollywood, down through the Craner curves now. This is a very good run by James Cole, who's going to try and get through, but Paul Luthi knows what he's doing, grabs the momentum and the line and consolidates the position through the old hairpin and along Starkey's once again. So no change in position there. 93 car Joseph Delgano and Paul Croker, who did get to a finish in race number 1, so third place points in the standard class in car with Ross Macker. So the overall lead, we've not forgotten about them, but hadn't seen them for a bit. Another Cole doing some chasing, and that's Doug Cole, he himself being chased by Graham Ross, the defending champion. Cole's going to have a look now, goes to the outside line at Redgate here. Is this going to wind up with him getting hung out to dry? It was an optimistic move, and it leaves the door open for Graham Ross to have a look on the inside line. In car with Macker, looking back, Cole still in second place, Graham Ross in third. Superb battling between these three. Really fast stuff and clean racing, as you would expect, between these three respected racers at the head of the championship. So Doug Cole actually loses a bit of ground. He's got to get defensive now, makes a little mistake, lost some speed, and through like a shot goes Graham Ross into second place. Ross now second, and Ross Macker, we've got our front row back intact now with Ross Macker the leader, and Graham Ross, who started on the outside of the front row, back into second place as Paul Luthi tries to hunt down on the 88 car of James Cole, with Adam Jackson immediately up ahead of them. Jackson running in second position. Third position, I beg your pardon, in class. So this is the battle for third, with Paul Luthi next up, and approaching the halfway stage of this second race here at Donington Park. And now it's the turn of Tom Butler to have a look to the outside line of the 55 car. So Butler there, up ahead of Fred Burgess, and a wide line. I tell you what, Fred's probably getting used to that view of Tom Butler on the outside. He's had it several times at this meeting. Now this is where Fred was particularly quick and made the pass earlier on in the race, and again down the gate. Look how good he is into the chicane. Burgess very nifty. It's all the time he's battling with Tom Butler though. Maybe a little bit too wide out of the chicane, as the leaders successfully negotiate Martin Webber in the number 12 car, who's still running in a good position, of course, in the standard class. Doug Cole has not been left at all by the championship leader, who is ahead of him in the number 1 car. And Ross Macker finally looks like he's going to get a decent result here, but is coming under pressure from Colin Ross. They go side by side across the line, in car with Macker, who is no longer the leader, but he might reclaim it as they come down into Redgate. And there's contact! There's contact between the two, and Macker skews left then right, but he's lost the lead. So the battle for the lead now between Graham Ross and Doug Cole is very close, and you have to feel for Ross Macker, who's dropping back. But this, though, the scrap for third position in the 170s, and Paul Luthi looks down the inside line. It's Adam Jackson who's got it at the moment. James Cole on the outside line looking for fourth place. Fred Burgess is in fifth. Fred Burgess has seemingly spent the whole of both races so far having people on his outside, although at the moment he's got a bit of respite from that because he's watching Luthi and Cole doing the same thing. Paul grabs the line down there through the old hairpin, and now we'll see the 17 car maybe have a look up the inside line. We've got Tom Butler immediately behind. Fred looks across. Tom Butler there trying to challenge for position as well. Richard Marsh is in behind, then Gianni Piccioni. So the massed ranks as ever of the 170s, providing some superb entertainment here at Donington Park in the MG Trophy. There is Piccioni, number 5, first outing of the year, as you heard Barry say, the man from Hitchin in Hertfordshire in this group, battling it out for the podium positions. Paul Luthi's going to have a look at the inside line, which is I think covered, and James Cole looking to the outside here. Now, is this for speed on the exit? No, it isn't. It was an attempted pass and he's lost out. The door is open, and through on the inside line now is going to come Fred Burgess, possibly Tom Butler as well in the 55. Richard Marsh in the mix too. Across the line they go, battling hard still for the podium. Here's the assumed position for Burgess with Butler on the outside line. Down, look how quick he is on the brakes and down the gears into Redgate. He's going to try and pass James Cole, and you can see Paul Luthi up front. A tap on the back end from Tom Butler, and thumbs up from Fred saying that's okay. A little bit of NASCAR style bump drafting almost. There is James Cole again, not afraid to use the outside line to challenge for position. Will he go for the cut back on the inside on the exit of the old hairpin? No, he doesn't. Now these are the two leaders, the two yellow sun-stripped cars of Class B, the 170s, with Colin Robertson in the MG3. They're meeting the sandwich at the moment. He's got a bit wide there and kicks up the gravel. Colin will keep his foot in and recover, and that is the first retirement of the race. Tyler Ballard in the number 80 car, very sadly. I think Tyler's first retirement from the 170, and the second retirement of the race for Ross Macker, curse of the commentator saying that he was having some due luck. He's got no luck at all here. So Ross Macker out, in fact, driving back into the paddock, as you can see back of shot there is the third place scrap for the 170s, passes him at Redgate. Obviously he had limped Ross Macker around that lap, and he's now out of it. So two retirements thus far as we approach the closing stages of round 4 of the championship. In car with Paul Luthi again, and good to see him back out on track. Adam Jackson looking pretty solid now in third place. James Cole will again take up the mantle of trying to challenge, having got back ahead now of Fred Burgess. In car with James Cole we go through Schwantz Curve, heading up towards McLean's. Let's see whether the Green Machine can get back into another podium. The fact that the result's so different shows you how competitive all of the racing here is in MG Trophy, and I commend this championship to anybody thinking about coming racing or indeed moving over if you're unhappy with what you're racing just now. It's a terrific atmosphere, a great paddock, superb machinery. Just watch the onboards, listen to the engine note. Had me hooked from the first time I saw them. Here comes Paul Luthi again though. Luthi coming under pressure from James Cole. Cole's got his head down. Is he going to be able to find a way past? Goes to the outside line again as they come down into the chicane. He's going to try and make the pass. Hard on the brakes though, and again loses out, loses position as Fred Burgess goes through on the inside line again, but that's because James Cole was not content to sit back behind Paul Luthi. He wanted the position, he wanted to have a go on the outside line. And you take your hat off to drivers like that who are keen to get stuck in rather than just sit back and do nothing. He has lost a couple of positions. Tom Butler goes through as well. So Butler up ahead of James Cole, who's got some work to do. But all of these guys, hats off to all of them, they're all getting stuck in. Very evenly matched. 170 class, even Johnny Piccioni at the back of this group, who's been working hard to try and close down on them, which he's done now, and he's got James Cole in his sights. Richard Marsh from Farringdon had that rollover in the first race, back out as well. Here's the battle for the lead of the 170s. Matt Turnbull would be hoping for a double, but at the moment Sam Kirkpatrick, the Cumbrian, 18 years of age, has got the upper hand at the minute as they come down into the S's. And looking good here, Kirkpatrick, to repeat the win that he had at race 2 at Brands Hatch, round 2 of the season, and running well. Turnbull, though, at the moment has the fastest lap in the 170s. Graham Ross has the fastest lap as they nip past Martin Webber, still in P2 in the 160 standard class. Paul Croker's got fastest lap in the standard class, and as I said, Ross and Turnbull fastest laps in their respective classes as well. Here's the third place man, Adam Jackson, side by side for fourth position between Paul Luthi, and now on the outside is Fred Burgess, who looks to have a go, knocks a floppy marker for a Burton. Graham Ross has extended the lead over Doug Cole. It's not a massive lead, but it's good enough, and I think good enough to take him to the checker. Across the line we go with Graham Ross onto the last lap of this 20-minute race. And that's probably the leader in the 170s is off the circuit. It looks like a blow-up for Sam Kirkpatrick, so close to the end of the race. Kirkpatrick is off, and Matthew Turnbull inherits the lead, and potential double win for Matt Turnbull. Adam Jackson will go second now, so Paul Luthi is on for a podium. There is Doug Cole running in second place. Graham Ross just ahead of him is the race leader, the defending champion, the championship leader. I tell you what, Doug Cole's going to keep him in his sights for the championship lead. They're passing Joseph Delgado, who's in 16th place at the moment. So Joseph running 11th in class, but a safe pass made by the race leader, Graham Ross, who will take a double here. Lights ablaze for him as he started to work through some of the other cars. Doug Cole in second. It is the championship's going to be close as we go to Knock Hill, and it's Ross that wins it. Doug Cole in second. Patrick Booth will be third in Class A ahead of Paul Savage, and Matt Turnbull will win Class B. There is Joseph Delgado. Here is the third place car. I said Patrick Booth will take third, and here he is to complete the outright podium out of the S's and down across the line to take the checkered flag. So that's our 1, 2, 3 complete here in round 4 of the championship. Fifth position behind Paul Savage is this man, Matt Turnbull, who will go across the line now to make it a double win, a third overall and a fifth overall to take 2 wins in the 64 car. And as Graham Ross celebrates, there will be celebrations as well for the 96 car, Paul Croker, who wins. There's the result: Ross from Cole and Booth, Savage, Matt Turnbull winning Class B, Colin Robertson next in the MG3 from Adam Jackson, Paul Luthi, Fred Burgess and Richard Marsh. Great recovery from his earlier misdemeanours to to finish in 10th place. 11th goes to James Cole from Tom Butler and Gianni Piccioni. Samuel Johnston next from John Booth, who is in 15th from Joseph Delgado. Paul Croker wins Class C from Martin Webber, who finishes 18th. Non-finishes for Sam Kirkpatrick, Ross Macker and Tyler Ballard. And Barry is down with our drivers, who of course are still looking over what happened to their cars. Down to Barry in Victory Lane.
Graham, 2 out of 2 for the weekend and a great record so far for the 2019 season.
Yeah, it's going all right at the moment, so just keep the fingers crossed that I can maintain that. Today was a bit harder. I got a lousy start compared to Doug, and fair play to him. He made a real good go of that, and he made a wee mistake. I think it was the old hairpin, and I managed to get past him, and then kind of caught up on Ross. We had a bit of a touchdown at Redgate. I did my best to avoid him, but yeah, managed to just keep it in front after that. Doug I could not shake him off. I thought, just go away, but he wouldn't. So I just had to, keep full pace all the time.
Another great podium place there, Doug. Good race, certainly better with the tyres for you this time as well, but he just pipped you at the post there.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate really, because I had the pace in the car. Unfortunately, I'm not excusing it, but the lower tyre rods come apart, so every time I changed gear into third and fourth and backed off, it was jumping out of gear, so I was travelling to try to hold it in gear, which is why Graham got past me at the old hairpin, and I just couldn't live with it. I was trying every time, you back off everywhere, it's just trying to jump out, so it's almost like driving one-handed. So I just thought I'd give it another few laps, and I'd have made a big mistake at the bottom of the hill, and I thought that's it, I'll just let him have second. Second's good enough for me to win the points zone. I wanted to win, and I thought I could have won if I'd have had the gear links in the right place, but fair play to Graham. He's come a long way, so he can have that one.
Patrick, great podium place there. Now the main three were sort of battling ahead of you there, then a little bit of an unfortunate incident. You maintained consistency there, and that got you the place.
It did. It reminded me a little bit of the second race at Brands Hatch, when I spent the whole race following actually 4 of them, including Chris Bray, and they did the same again here. They just drive inch perfect. They're doing lap after lap perfectly. I'm still getting used to it. It's my excuse, but I just make a couple of little mistakes, and suddenly the gap grows, and it just never shrinks.
Matt, 2 out of 2 class wins there, and 5th overall in the race. So a great weekend.
Yeah, cracking weekend. Great race then. Me and Sam were really pushing. We were both really going for it. Just shame his engine went banned, unfortunately. But yeah, cracking race anyway. For us anyway. Feel a bit sorry for Sam, but yeah, good race anyway.
Adam, a fantastic race there. Now you've got great livery on this car, but it makes you a bit of a target because everyone was on your tail in that one.
Yeah, I think everyone were taking turns trying to give me a push down the straight. To be fair, I spent most of the race with Paul giving me a bump. I think he was the only reason I was getting some good lap times. But yeah, it was. I spent the whole race looking in my mirror, so it was tough. I was glad when that checkered flag came out.
Paul, we're looking at your engine here. This is engine 2, if not 3 of the weekend, and you've only had 1 race, but at least you got a podium place there.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good. Yesterday was very sad, I would say. We were quite upset, but yeah, so we blew up our engine in qualifying. We replaced it with a spare, but sadly we made a boo-boo and we put one part from the broken engine onto this replacement engine, and it sucked in a bit of the rubbish from the previous blow-up. So we then repaired the second engine with bits from the first engine, and we have a kind of Mark 2.75.
Graham Ross leads the championship from Doug Cole. Matt Turnbull leading Class B from Sam Kirkpatrick. That's all we've got time for today, believe it or not. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.